Now, I see all the nursing home staff out striking, standing in front of the MLA's offices. What would you do with that?
Well, I just this really blows me away. At the House of Commons, I had a budget of $59 million, and I saw supervised over 1,200 people. I had 1,200 people as staff at Parliament, supporting all the different operations of Parliament, from the renovations of the Parliament buildings to food services to security to room reservations, managing 30 buildings, a fleet of 27 trucks. In each one of those groups had collective agreements. They were unionized. There were four collective.
So that's the role of the sergeant at arms?
When I was there, it was, yeah.
I thought you did was carry the mace in.
Yeah, I did that for 15 minutes a day. And people will always remember me with regards to security of the Parliament building.
Right.
But my day job from 7 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night was the renovations of the buildings and the closure of Centre Block, the reopening of West Block. I had a team of 80 architects that we solved through that, and I also had the role of convincing a good friend of mine, a good, strong conservative, a Marmachi boy, Jim Flaherty, to give me the billions of dollars that were needed to go forward and do that. That's my background. I know people think you carried the mace, but no. Now, to answer your question, the 1,200 employees and the 4 different collective agreements that I managed as a manager with unionized employees, I enjoyed that. But this is probably, again, goes back to the values of Bill Vickers. You respect the dignity of people. You treat people with dignity and respect. You respect their opinion. You don't bully people. You don't threaten union people. You bring them in. You sit down and say, okay. Now, collectively, what I would have done, or what my practice was at the House of Commons, you can take I'm going to pick one, security services, 360 unionized members. I would go and say, okay, what are they getting in? What are they getting in the province of Quebec at the Quebec legislature? What are they getting in the province of Ontario? What are they getting in the province of Nova Scotia? British Columbia. And I would create a universe. Okay, so on average, a security employee at a legislature makes X amount of dollars. Now, union, this is our starting line. As a manager, I'm not going to want to pay you the top of the universe. Neither do I think it would be right for me to pay. So let's negotiate. And I'll take those arguments, give and take, but it's done in a open, transparent environment of respecting the dignity of people and respecting one another. And sometimes an employer might have to educate. Like, a union may ask for something that's way out of line compared to other jurisdictions.
There's a strike that's going on now. Really is a carryover from the last government, isn't it?
So, you have to really sit down and say, look but the employer, has a responsible role as well as to be an educator and to facilitate, So you're asking for this, and this, but if we look next door in Nova Scotia, or you look next door in Ontario and or Manitoba, let's say, no, this is, my respectful view, your request is not in line with what the universe is paying nursing home workers in these other provinces. So that's basically my position on this is, number one is to do these in a collaborative manner, to do these negotiations in a respectful manner, to be open, to be flexible, to be Canadian.
Right.
To be Marmacheers.
Negotiate.
Yeah, be a Marmacheer. And
right.
Sometimes, will it get heated at times, and will it get, absolutely. That's what negotiations are all about. But at the end of the day, and as far as I know, some sides are arguing over now, they're looking for, help me with the term, not a facilitator, but an arbitration.
Right.
Arbitration.
Right.
I never, ever, as an employer, of supervising 1,200 employers ever had to go to arbitration. And I think that's degrees of losing for everybody. When you get to a stage where you have to go to an arbitrator, and now we're talking an arbitrator with conditions, which is not arbitration when you're talking that. That's degrees of losing.
But Kevin, wasn't it the Liberals who promoted the concept of putting an arbitrator in there?
Well, the present negotiations on that when they went was that. So what I'm telling you here today is Kevin Vickers, who has run a large organization at the House of Commons with 1,200 employees. This is what it
should never have to get to that.
It should never have to get to that. I mean, no, that's and it's degrees of losing for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
Because
it is.
But speaking of the Liberal record, my understanding of the last 4 years, there was 20 out of 25 contracts to be negotiated. There was either 23 or 24 of them settled. It's just this one contract that
didn't make it.
That didn't make it. Yeah.
Right.
My understanding when I listen to it as an observer, and I'm an outside observer now, to me, one of the core issues here, it's not, salary is an issue, obviously, to the union members, but to me, they're just grossly understaffed. We have 2 nurses or home care workers in the hospital or at the nursing home that are looking after 20 or 30 people. To me, that's the issue. And I'm wondering if that could be part of a way out of this. If the government sees the salary demand far too high, is there room there to negotiate by ensuring more care workers to lessen the burden and the incredible, impossible stress that these people are doing? And I want to say, in my view, having spoken with the few I have, they're doing God's work.
Oh, yes.
They're doing God's work. And we should all be very thankful and very respectful to them all. Yeah.
Yes. I just spent some time looking after my mother at home, who died at 91. And it takes a lot of time. And so when you're only 2 looking after that many, it's certainly not what the dignity that human being deserves. Now, I sat here last week with Mayor Adam Lorden.
Yes.
And while we were talking, he discussed a new sports complex for the city.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yes.
And it's a $60 million proposal.
Yes.
And where would you stand on that?
Well, listen, again, we have to live within our financial means. What are the economies of shutting down these older rinks, these older facilities? What are the economies that a newer building would bring, like an annual update, annual maintenance cost? Let's figure out. Let's make sure that we got that all figured out. My understanding, the federal government has a large portion of money that they would be willing to invest. I believe the city itself has kind of set aside or envisioned a certain amount of money, and the province portion of this now. Again, where is that in our budget? Where would that be in our priorities? I don't have my hands on the levers yet, but I can tell you something. As a Marmosheer, I would do my level best to make sure that the people of Marmosheer would have what's good for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.